I never thought a single click would ruin my life. But that's what happened when I borrowed $5,000 from some app I found online. At first, everything seemed normal. Then, the messages started. Then the calls. Then people I'd never met knew things about me they shouldn't know. And now I don't know who to trust anymore because everyone in my town thinks I'm crazy or a liar or both. My name is Derek Hollins, and I live in Boise, Idaho. Well, I used to live there. I'm writing this from a motel outside Salt Lake City because I can't go back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I work at a warehouse, or I did until 3 weeks ago. The pay was okay, but my car broke down in January and the repairs cost way more than I had saved. My landlord was already sending me warnings about late rent. I needed money fast, and my credit was too bad for a normal bank loan. That's when I saw the ad. It popped up on my phone while I was scrolling through some random site. Fast cash loans, no credit check, approved in 24 hours. I know how stupid that sounds now. But when you're desperate and your bank account shows $18, you start thinking differently. The website looked professional enough. There were reviews and everything. Fake ones, obviously, but I didn't know that then. I filled out the application. Name, address, job info, bank account number, standard stuff. They asked for a scan of my driver's license too, which seemed normal. I hit submit and forgot about it. The next morning I woke up to an email saying I was approved. They'd deposit $5,000 into my account within 2 business days. The interest rate was high, but I figured I'd pay it back quick and be done with it. The money showed up exactly when they said it would. I paid my rent, fixed my car, bought groceries for the first time in weeks. I remember feeling relieved, like maybe things were finally turning around. The repayment schedule said I had 30 days before my first payment was due. That seemed fair. 2 weeks later, I got an email. The tone was different this time, cold and formal. It said I had violated the terms of my loan agreement by making an unauthorized purchase and that my loan was now in default status. I read it 3 times trying to understand what they meant. I hadn't done anything wrong. I used the money for exactly what I said I would. I tried calling the number on their website, but it just rang and rang. No voicemail. Nothing. Then a letter arrived at my apartment. It looked official. Really official. It had a case number printed at the top, and this tiny seal at the bottom that looked like it came from some county office. The letter claimed I owed them $12,000 now because of penalty fees and default charges. $12,000 from $5,000. The math didn't make sense, but the paperwork looked real enough to scare the shit out of me. I tried emailing them back, explaining there must be some mistake. They responded with more legal language, phrases like breach of contract and legal remedies and asset seizure. I started losing sleep. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning checking my phone to see if they'd sent anything new. Then things got worse. My landlord called me one afternoon. He said someone had contacted him claiming to be a debt collector. They told him I owed a lot of money and that I was trying to skip town. They asked if he'd received any official notices about me. He said no, but he sounded suspicious, like he was questioning whether I was trustworthy. A few days later, he slipped a note under my door saying there were now documents on file regarding my tenancy and that any further issues would result in eviction proceedings. I never saw these documents. He wouldn't show them to me when I asked. He just said they were part of his records now and that I should take care of my debts. I felt trapped. Like walls were closing in and I couldn't do anything to stop it. Then they contacted my job. My supervisor pulled me aside one morning and asked if everything was okay financially. I didn't understand why he was asking until he mentioned that HR had received some kind of invoice or complaint about me. He wouldn't give me details, just said there was a file being opened for financial misconduct. I worked in a warehouse moving boxes. What did my personal loan have to do with anything? My hours got cut the next week, then cut again. I went from full-time to barely 20 hours. I couldn't pay my bills anymore. I couldn't even afford gas to get to work. When I tried talking to HR, they showed me a printed document that looked like it came from some law office. It had my name on it and listed all these charges I'd supposedly racked up. None of it was true, but it looked convincing. They said they had to protect the company's reputation. I decided to fight back. I started trying to trace where this loan actually came from. The website was still up, but when I looked closer, I noticed the address listed was in some tiny town in Nevada I'd never heard of. I called the local clerk's office there and asked about the business. They said no such company was registered in their county. I felt relieved for about 5 seconds. Then I realized that meant I had no idea who actually had my information. I hired a lawyer. Well, I tried to. The first one I contacted said they'd look into it, but then never called me back. I left 4 voicemails. Nothing. The second one took my case, but dropped it a week later. No explanation. Just an email saying they couldn't represent me anymore. When I showed up at his office demanding answers, his secretary said he was unavailable and that I should leave or they'd call security. The third lawyer I called told me to stop contacting them before I even explained the situation. Like they already knew who I was. Like someone had warned them about me first. That's when the messages started. Not from the loan company. From a lawyer claiming to represent them. The messages were polite, but threatening. They included screenshots of my Facebook page, photos of my car parked outside my apartment. One message had a picture of the inside of my kitchen. My kitchen. I don't know how they got that. My windows have blinds and I always keep them closed. But there it was. A photo taken from the angle of my kitchen counter showing my table and the microwave and the stupid magnet my mom gave me that says, "World's okayest son." I called the police. They took a report but said there wasn't much they could do unless someone actually threatened me directly or broke into my place. They said it sounded like a scam and that I should just ignore it. Ignore it. Like that was possible when these people knew where I lived and where I worked and had photos of my apartment. I drove to the address listed on some of the paperwork they'd sent me. It was 4 hours away in a different city. When I got there, it was just a UPS store, a mailbox rental place. The guy working there said lots of businesses used their address for mail forwarding. He couldn't tell me who rented the box because of privacy rules. Dead end. I sat in my car outside for 2 hours watching people come and go. Nobody looked suspicious. Just normal people picking up packages and mail. I felt crazy sitting there, like some paranoid detective in a bad movie. But I didn't know what else to do. Every time I thought I found something, it disappeared. The website would change. New phone numbers would appear on the emails. The lawyer's name would be different. It was like chasing smoke. And meanwhile, my life was falling apart. My landlord served me an eviction notice. My job let me go. My bank account was empty again. People in town started looking at me differently too. I'd run into someone at the grocery store and they'd avoid eye contact. My neighbor who used to say hi every morning stopped acknowledging me. I heard through a friend that people were talking, saying I was caught up in something shady, saying I'd scammed someone or stolen money. None of it was true, but the rumors spread anyway. My friend told me she'd heard the stories from at least 5 different people. Everyone seemed to know details about my situation that I'd never shared. Details that could only have come from whoever was doing this to me. They were poisoning every relationship I had. I tried explaining what was happening, but nobody believed me. The paperwork looked too real. The lawyer's emails looked too professional. The whole thing seemed more believable than my story about some phantom loan company that didn't exist. I started doubting myself, wondering if maybe I had done something wrong, if maybe I'd missed something in the contract. But I read that thing 100 times and there was nothing about default penalties or unauthorized purchases. Last week I got another letter. This one said they were filing a lawsuit. It listed a court date and everything. I looked up the court and it doesn't exist. The address is for a dentist's office, but the letter looks real enough that I'm terrified someone's going to show up at this motel and serve me papers. I called the dentist's office just to confirm, and the receptionist had no idea what I was talking about. She said people had been calling all week asking about court dates. That meant I wasn't the only one. That meant they were doing this to other people too. I don't know what to do anymore. I can't go back to Boise. I can't get a job because they've destroyed my reputation. I can't even use my real name anymore because they've made sure everyone thinks I'm a criminal. All because I needed $5,000 to fix my car and pay my rent. The worst part is, I still don't know who they are. I don't know what they want. The money's long gone. I couldn't pay them back now even if I wanted to. Maybe that was never the point. Maybe they just wanted to ruin someone's life for fun. Maybe I was just unlucky. I'm writing this as a warning. If you ever see an ad for quick cash with no credit check, don't click it. Don't even look at it. Because once they have your information, they own you. And they'll make sure everyone around you knows it. I still get emails sometimes, new ones from new addresses, always the same tone, always the same threats. I don't open them anymore. I just delete them and hope they eventually forget about me. But I don't think they will. I think they'll keep going until there's nothing left of my life to destroy. And honestly, they're almost there.